Hello, hello, lovelies, and welcome to the pre-launch party of S.E.A, Self-Love and Empowerment Activation course. As I promised, this course will come out on June 1st, and until then, I wanted to give you a bit of information about what this really is about, what you can learn from it, and of course, that there is a special prize involved if you enroll before the 1st of June. So, S.E.A, Self-Love and Empowerment Activation. That's what it stands for. Why did I come up with that course? Well, easy. Let me adjust this. I want to see myself completely. Here we go. Seeing myself completely means not only fitting into the frame of my phone that I'm recording this with, but also to see the shadow side in me, to see the dark side, to see the things that I still need to heal, see the chips on my shoulders, be okay with them while working on them, and thereby having the self-confidence to show up in the world. This phone keeps moving. And be confident and love myself regardless of what other people say, or regardless especially what people have been telling me all my life. Whether it is parents, whether it is other caregivers like teachers, family members, friends that were supposedly your friends and were supposed to uplift you and then put you down instead because they mean well. Whatever it is, whatever chipped away at your self-confidence, is something that you can change, something that you can heal, if you want to call it healing. A lot of people are put off by the word healing, really, which I don't know why. I don't see it as something negative. It doesn't mean that we are sick. It doesn't mean that we are incomplete. It doesn't mean that we are wrong. It just means that there is a hurt, a pattern that we can help move towards the positive. So what is my S.E.A course, my Self-Love and Empowerment course all about? This phone keeps moving. I apologize. Here we go. I hope you don't get dizzy from me moving this phone around. Well, first of all, I developed it out of my webinar, really, that you can still access. In that webinar, I talked about how we keep attracting similar situations into our lives simply because we have that energy pattern about us, either from past life experiences, past life traumas, then exacerbated, made worse by traumas that we attracted in this life. So inadvertently, even though we consciously want to change the situation, we subconsciously attract the same situation to our lives over and over again. It's our personal Groundhog Day, if you will. So in order to really change that, we have to work on the energetic level, not just with the conscious, which is of course helpful and necessary, but also we have to take care of the subconscious layers, the energy levels. So this course is really a branch off of that, my signature coaching program, because I've noticed working with a lot of different clients that self-love is always, or rather the lack of self-love, is always at the core of the problem. I noticed that in a bunch of different people that I don't even work with. I have friends who are in abusive relationships with a narcissist, and sociopaths and narcissists are definitely in lack of self-love. They cannot receive love. That's why they do the things that they do. Not consciously, subconsciously. Doesn't help the abused person, obviously, who's usually an empath. But the end result is that there are things, unhealed wounds, traumas, that prevent us from feeling self-love. So what do I do in my self-love and empowerment activation course? First of all, it's a 5-week course. It's a self-study course which will give you all the tools that you need to transcend the blocks that you might have to self-love. So we start with acknowledgement. Acknowledgement, just like I said in my webinar, is really, really important. If you cannot find other people to acknowledge you, you have to learn to acknowledge yourself, to acknowledge your own emotions, to acknowledge your good, and to acknowledge your shadow. I'll show you how to do that. By that, you will feel comfort. and comfort is so necessary. Very often there is a wounded inner child involved as well, even though inner child work is something very, very separate from this particular course. It is definitely a part of this to a certain extent. And then we have to change the shame that we feel around feeling inadequate, not living up to the standards that we set for ourselves or set by other people. So the beauty of this course is that you have 5 weeks to work on that, which is pretty intense. It takes at least 21 days to change subconscious patterns. So you will have weekly exercises, 3 different tasks per week to work on. If you work on those diligently, they're pretty intense, but they really, really change your life. They will make you aware of things. They will help you move subconscious patterns. And one bonus that you have in this course, to move those subconscious patterns, to change those subconscious grooves in your brain, to rewire your brain, to change the synapses, is that I offer mantra meditations that I mix just for you with binaural beats. And as you may know, binaural beats help your 2 parts of the brain, hence the word binaural. One ear hears one beat and the other ear hears another beat in order to create a particular brain frequency in the middle. And it helps you put into a delta state, which allows you to change your subconscious patterning. So this is a bonus that you get with this course. For every week, for every particular set of tasks, you have a mantra meditation with binaural beats to help your subconscious rewire. So, part 1 then was the acknowledgement. Then we learn to let go. You've all heard of the expression, schlepping your old baggage around, making life harder and harder. It's more and more difficult to move forward. And that's what we're learning here. In order to let new thought patterns in order to let happy feelings in, because we all want a bliss life, don't we? That's why you're listening to me, EnglobeMe, because I'm a bliss life coach. We have to get rid of the old. So that's what we're doing. We're clearing out the old closet. We are making room for the joy. We are starting to heal our being. And we're starting to create a new vibration. That is important. We recognize the old, we chuck it out, and we start creating a new vibration so that we can start attracting new and happier things, better things into our lives. This will lead us to the middle of the course, week 3, where we work on transformation really, really intensely. We talk about the Groundhog Day some more and want to realize cognitively, consciously, what is really holding us back? What are the things that trigger us? What should our boundaries be? And then we'll actually get into exercises that work with boundaries. Very often you might have noticed that you're not clear about your boundaries. Suddenly you just sort of jump out at somebody because they trespassed it. And instead of being able to recognize early what your boundary is and to be self-confident enough to tell that person, okay, this is my boundary, please do not cross it. It's also very wobbly that we find ourselves lashing out because at that point it's too late. We didn't realize it was a boundary. We suddenly feel hurt, and all we feel subconsciously is left to do is to lash out to protect ourselves. We react defensively and sometimes even aggressively. But a person with good self-esteem who loves themselves deep to the core will be able to forgive themselves, eventually the other person, and become clear about what the boundaries really are. And this is what I want, this is what I do not want. Knowing this and working towards that, the non-negotiables as I call them, is really important to be able to come from a place of feeling safe and secure and loving enough self-love to a point where we can lovingly tell the other person, you know what, this is not okay. Please do not do that again. And this is also finally how we grow up, how we grow the courage that it takes sometimes, not only to tell another person, okay, this is my boundary, please do not step over this, but to actually have consequences in place. As in, if you do this one more time, I will have to stop calling you because I really do not appreciate this tone, or I really do not appreciate you yelling at me. Please only call me when you're calm. And believe it or not, here's a little anecdote. I used to have to do that with my own grandmother. And I was very, very young when she was still alive. So I was maybe in my early 20s when I was at school in Germany. And she would somehow think it was right and all right to just yell at me on the phone. As an empath and highly sensitive person, I react very, very sensitively to being yelled at, no matter who it is. So I eventually came up with the courage to tell her, please do not yell at me, which obviously made her even more angry. Even though I didn't yell at her, I just told her calmly not to yell at me. But she would not stop. For whatever reasons, back then I was not yet a healer and a coach. But she wouldn't stop. And since it really, really bothered me, I found it hurtful, disrespectful, and it really hurt me as an empath. So I had to tell her eventually and ask her to please not yell at me, and if she doesn't stop, I'll hang up. And I did. I actually did hang up the phone on my own grandmother because it was important for me to have that boundary respected. Being as grandmothers can be, we never talked about that. It's not like she never did that again. This would happen several times over the years. But what really happened was that she respected me for having this boundary. She respected me for clearly expressing calmly that I would like her to respect that boundary. And the way she told me that she respected me for it is that she kept calling. We kept up a lovely relationship. With its dips, as I said, it happened again every once in a while. But generally, she would call, calm, talk to me. I'd go visit her. We'd go have tea somewhere together. It was lovely. So, you see, even though people do not necessarily respond the way you want them to, they will probably, on one level or another, respect the fact that you respect yourself enough to have boundaries that you stand up for and that you are able to exert calmly, that you are able to tell other people from a place of love and respect that this is your boundary and you expect them to respect your boundary. So this is something else that you will learn in this course. Week 4 will be about empowerment. You're going to learn to have your say. You're going to narrow down what you really want in life. You may know from the law of attraction that talking about the things that you don't want will just keep attracting more of the things that you don't want. At the same time, we did acknowledgement at the beginning of this course. Oh, we'll do this because I think it's important to feel heard. A lot of times, especially in my experience, when I worked with my own healers and my own coaches on my journey, I didn't feel heard. They just told me, well, just think positive. You have to do this, you have to do that. Well, I couldn't. I just wanted somebody to take me seriously already. Somebody who just said, it's okay. It's okay. So this is what we do when we go through the acknowledgement phase in week 1 of this course. We learn that it is okay. And only then, when you really feel that it is okay, will you be able to let down your guard, to lay down your weapons, and start moving towards a different place. And that's what we're doing in week 4. We are moving to a different place. We are growing more confident because we start to figure out what we want and who we want. We will start feeling safe in making our choices. We will start feeling safe even if we make choices that weeks, years later down the road turn out to have been supposedly wrong, even though there is divine order in everything. Because even if we make a decision that turns out to be wrong later, there's nothing wrong about it because we learned something important we were supposed to learn. With our human perspective, we don't see everything. And I know, it sucks. It really sucks at times to not see what the hell you're going through this particular emotion for this situation. But the divine knows, and we just have to develop this faith and develop the trust that there is a reason for everything. So this is what we're learning here in week 4. In week 5, finally, although all of this is of course about developing and fostering self-love and self-confidence, we focus even more on feeling worthy. We really, really focus on feeling love for ourselves. There are different ways of doing that. One of them is to tap into our core, to really start connecting with ourselves and get rid of whatever else might be coming up, whatever other emotion. If you do exercises and you suddenly feel shame coming up, you will work with that to get deeper and deeper, to get rid of more layers and layers that keep you from connecting to your core. Because your core is divine. You are part of the divine. And the divine is unconditional love and abundance and happiness. And we humans have just forgotten to connect to that. We've accumulated all these crusty layers, which, if you have had a look at my website already, I have the Venus coming out of the shell, like a shining pearl that she is. But the shell around, the oyster that contains the pearl, might have all these barnacles on top, and it looks kind of ugly actually on the outside. And this is just all the worldly crud that we have accumulated by being swept around in the sea. There's waves and tumult and storms and whatnot. And we tend to just grow harder and harder and be crustier and crustier. But once we start shaving those barnacles off, healing as I call it, tending to our wounds, making sure that we can actually be vulnerable and be strong and be authentic and be strong and loved, this is really when we start to shine. This is when the pearl, our inner being, our divine, comes out. And the divine is beautiful. It is divine, as the word says. It is bliss, it is love, it is happiness. So these are all the things that you learn in this course. 5 weeks with 3 tasks each week, with the bonuses of the mantra meditations that contain binaural beats that help you get deeper into your subconscious, that you can listen to as often as you want. And of course you can have extra coaching on the side if you want to work on your Akashic field and get rid of those traumas, or some energy coaching from me. But this course you can do on your own. It is designed for 5 weeks. Each week has its own tasks, as I said. And if you wonder about the order, I explained it in my introduction as well. There is no particular order. I try to find the best order possible. However, as you can imagine, healing, self-growth, personal growth is a repetitive thing. One quote that you can find on my website is that mastery is not really about having it all and having it all figured out and having everything blissful at all times. Mastery really of life means knowing your tools and knowing when to use them. So when there is something that throws you off balance, that you know what to do to get back into balance, right? So that was a lot of information. This course will enable you to tap into your self-love. It'll teach you tools, important tools, that will acknowledge your hurt, help you move through it, help you get rid of this negative baggage, help you figure out what you really want, and then foster those things, starting with boundaries and wishes and goals for your life. Enhanced, of course, by the mantra meditations that will help you go deep and deep into your subconscious so that you can really make a powerful, powerful change. So if you work on those different parts and then go back to part 1 while you're working on part 3, that's what I really meant to say. It's all working together, right? So just because you have done the tasks from week 1 doesn't mean that you should never do them again. When you realize, oh, there's something that I would like to learn to acknowledge, a particular aspect of your life, something that lies deeper than the layer you've already gotten rid of, you go back to that step. So in other words, the steps of all of those 5 weeks work all together, but we cannot do them all together. Not at first, at least, right? We have to learn step by step. But then once you've gone through the whole course of those 5 weeks, you can always go back to any of those exercises at any time to deal with anything that comes up, so that you can go back to center, so that you can come back to this place of self-love. Even when you have moments of doubting yourself, you will remember, wait, there was an exercise I could do. Let's do this. Let's get back to center. Let's get back to, I forgive myself for this. Tomorrow's another day. Moving on. So those are the things that you will learn in this course. I hope that you reached out to me with questions. Again, this is all brought to you with love from Ronja with EnglobeMe. Also, of course, make sure that you take advantage of the free meditations that I have on YouTube and sign up for the channel, so in case something else pops up that you get notified. Like my Facebook page and share the material with others. I'd really appreciate that. There are so many people out there who would appreciate the help and don't even know what I do. So reach out if you have questions. Please leave some comments. You can always email me. You can contact me through Facebook. And I hope that you also let me know if there's something else that you might be interested in. I love helping people. I love coaching, and I use my academic background to come up with the best courses possible to integrate my energy work and my Akashic field therapy into the coaching process to help everybody move forward as best they can, as smoothly as they can. So important, smoothness. Help everybody live the most blissful life ever and shine their light into the world. So, hope to see you again soon. Thank you for listening. With love and blessings. Namaste.